What's a secret you won't share with anyone in person, but you are willing to share anonymously? I'm the reason my cousin is mentally handicapped. We are the same age, and when we were 7 our grandpa bought dirt bikes for us. Well, we decided to make our own trail in the woods. Took the entire summer. I put this tree branch purposely at roughly head level, just so he could duck under it, and it would look awesome. The branch was heavy, but I was able to sit it conveniently between two trees. He was more brave than me, so he went first. Being dumb kids, we didn't wear helmets. I yelled for him to duck, but he didn't, and hit his head on the branch, got knocked backwards and hit his head again straight into the ground. I told everyone it was an accident. Grandpa sold the dirt bikes. I didn't see my cousin a whole lot after that. That was nearly 25 years ago. I see him every Christmas, and it's always the same. In a wheelchair, being spoon-fed by his mom. He can't speak, he likes to draw funny shapes. He most likely doesn't remember the incident, and I don't know if he remembers me, but that's what haunts me. Honest mistake, you did nothing other kids didn't do, it's no one's fault. Life is just hard sometimes. I'm so sorry you feel so guilty, understandable, but serves no purpose. Throwaway. When I was a little girl 3 or 4 I had a friend who came over to my house to play. She liked for the two of us to play in the doghouse in the backyard, where she would try to get me to play a game that she said her dad played with her. The game involved touching each other in ways an adult should never touch a child. My mom thought it was weird that the girl always wanted to play in the doghouse with me, and so got rid of the doghouse pretty quickly. I didn't understand what the game meant then, and it took 2 decades for me to realize just what it meant. It was like lightning just struck me one day and I suddenly remembered the incident and understood what it meant. That little girl was abused by her dad, and I can't even remember her name. I still haven't gotten the courage to ask my mom if she remembers the girl. I've never tried to find her. I have never told anybody, and I'm ashamed of my cowardice. Update. Thank you all for your support, kind words, and encouragement. I spoke with my mom about everything tonight, and she remembers the little girl. I know her name, and I'm going to try and find her. About 3 months after finding out that my now ex-wife was having an affair and our subsequent split, I got really depressed. On 2 separate occasions I downed a 1/5 of whiskey and played Russian roulette. Once the bullet was only 1 chamber over, the other time it was 2 away from chamber. I never told anyone about it. I was already getting tons of sympathy and I hated it. I hate when people feel sorry for me, so I never told anyone. Thank you all so much for your kind words. Sometimes I forget what a great community Reddit can be. For clarification, this was in 2014. I'm stable and moving on with my life now. I saw a shrink for a time, and it helped a ton. That and exercise. Best solutions I know for conquering depression. If I can come back from that, anyone can come back from anything. Never give up. Fight until you're exhausted, and then fight a little more. No matter who you are, or what's happened to you, somebody somewhere loves you. When I was about 9, I went over to neighbor's house. I would usually go hang out with my adult neighbors because they would let me watch TV and give me snacks in exchange for helping them with the intention of seeing if I could play with the foster puppies she had. Well, she wasn't there, but her door was unlocked, and I just went in and played with the puppies. When I walked out of the house, she was coming down the driveway. There was a bunch of stuff in front of her door blocking it from view from the driveway. I just pretending like I had been waiting for a minute and we walked in, and I got to play with the puppies again. I expected this to take a much darker turn, and was pleasantly surprised. Fortunately, no puppies were harmed in the making of this post. I was expecting them to be all. She wasn't there, and when I left I found out she was dead in the back room the whole time, but the plot twist ended up being I played with the puppies twice. Don't worry, Op, I'll keep your secret to the grave. My last relationship ended because she was cheating with another man. The other man was her dad. In regards to how I found out, I can't share the gory details as they are pretty identifying. What I do want to say is that it was nothing visible physically. They wouldn't kiss on the lips or do anything that someone could brush off as European friendly. I also never witnessed anything physical happening between them with my own eyes. The proof was in the place where you'd expect it to be in today's day and age, an electronic device too, with the amount of messages I've gotten asking, is her name? It doesn't matter what her name is. If that's a person you know, and they are dealing with something like this, help them in any way you can. Final, here's the Amma. Something tells me that she's been in a relationship with him for a very long time, and was probably groomed that way since she was little. Women, generally speaking, don't just randomly decide to start sleeping with their fathers. Pretty sure I'm obsessed with being in a relationship, and I've started finding any woman that talks to me attractive. When your preference is abroad, there's plenty of them. Puts a flower dress, hello there. Not a far-fetched idea really. I know people that seem to have an insatiable need to be in a relationship. I have a friend from high school who was never single for more than a week at a time. She eventually got married and subsequently divorced and had a new boyfriend before the divorce was final, and engaged to him by the time the divorce was final. It's more of the fact that I'm 21 and have never been in a relationship. Up until this year I was very depressed and barely tried, but now I really want to. But I've noticed, since high school I've had a crush, or I've liked every one of my female friends. I really hate watching other people be successful, unless they are a very good person and I know that they don't care about other people praising them for their success. I resent them and secretly hope they fail, even if it's someone I have nothing against otherwise. It is definitely a jealousy thing. I guess the part of this I really hate is the fact that most people flaunt it as much as they can so that other people will praise them. 1 or 2 mentions I can handle, but when it's all they talk about all the time or constantly post on social media, I just really want to see them fail to knock them down a few notches. I realize it is extremely selfish of me in its own right, but IDK, that's why I keep it a secret. There's nothing wrong with being successful, but the only person you should feel the need to impress is yourself. I think that I'm beginning to hallucinate every once in a while. It's mostly little things that are there, and then they aren't. Is it straight on in your vision or your peripheral vision? Or when you quickly look somewhere and see something that isn't real? That would be quite normal. If you're seeing these things dead on for more than a second, then there might be something wrong. Yeah, it is usually never more than a second, but it has been happening with more frequency in the last month. If anything, it could be Charles Bonnet syndrome, which affects a lot of people with low vision. Pretty common. Go see someone sooner rather than later. If it's nothing, better to know and stop worrying. If it's something, better to know and start treating it early, before it disrupts your life. I don't tell people I'm autistic in person until I've known them multiple years. Sometimes by the time I tell them they're like, yeah, no offense, but I've known for pretty much the whole time I knew you. My friend does as well, and he found out after sending me a lot of autism memes and all that, so when he found out I was laughing with him about it, and nothing's changed, he's still the same guy. Me too. I have Asperger's, and I never say at a job interview, because I feel like it will harm my chances. Then like 2 weeks into the job everyone has already figured it out, but I still don't want to admit it, even though it would help people out relating to me, and I could explain why I'm so weird. I have 4 sisters, I'm the only guy, and I've banged all their best friends. I don't say anything, because I want my sisters to keep bringing friends home. I have 4 sisters, I'm the only guy, and I've banged all. Please know they're best friends. That was close. Carrot AUTOCOR sorry. I had the complete opposite erection. Had I was the friend in this scenario. I was kinda good friends with this girl, and we were at her house doing a class project, and I met her really hot older brother. We started dating, and it was a little awkward, because I was in nearly all of the same classes as his sister. We both knew what was going on. It was awkward. My house is currently for sale. Everyone I know thinks I'm moving to a nearby area. I'm actually selling my house, quitting my job, then traveling the world for a few years. I hope to hand my notice in at work before 2017 is over. Whilst this isn't an AMA, I've really enjoyed reading your comments and answering as many as I could. But I'm off to bed now, as unfortunately I still have work in the morning. Thank you all for your positive feedback and words of wisdom. I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again. So many wonderful people on Reddit. Thank you for the gold. Random stranger yet fellow friend. Living the dream, mate. Happy travels. We want to make everyone aware that, if you need help, resources are available. There's Arsusatuach where well-meaning and sympathetic people will try and help, but be aware they aren't trained. The befrienders.org website is a global list of local suicide help charities. You can use it to find a hotline in your country that you can call or email them for free. They'll speak to you and try and help you without being judgmental. I'm a bot. Please contact the moderators of our askreddit message compose, TO=our askreddit, if you have any questions or concerns. Literally the only thing keeping me alive is that I don't want my children to grow up without a father. If anything happens to them, I'm dead. Thank you so much for the encouragement. It really means a lot to me. I'm getting therapy and have meds. It's been a long road and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight yet. My mom was like this. Please get help. You don't have to live like this. Your kids can tell, and it's affecting them. They love you and want you, not just to trudge through life, but to be happy. You deserve to be happy. I've gradually felt more and more disconnected. I can ignore my friends for days and feel fine. People are so boring. I've always felt the opposite. People find all these things interesting, sports, going out, stuff like that, and when I go out with friends I'm usually in the back quiet watching everyone else talk about things that they like, and I can't relate. I do that too. Feel so much like a background character. It doesn't matter if I'm there or not, my friends hardly notice if I leave. Did it with my cousin regularly for a few years till the pregnancy. I have 2 cousins that are married. The rest of the cousins were outraged and appalled when they decided to get married. But my aunts and uncles were all like, well, your grandparents were cousins. To which most of us were again, even more concerned. They're still married and trying to conceive. We've just learned to deal with it. What else are we going to do? Cousins are trying to conceive, not grandparents. Grandparents are dead.